Oh, I think we're live.
Yes, we're live.
Hello, Ron.
Hello, Robert. How you been?
I've been very, very good. Very good. Been a very intense week at work, but I'm here and I'm enjoying my time with you, discussing about the music of 1991.
Hold on. It's just you can't find anything. It's live, so
There we
he'll
go.
he'll find it. All right. Well, we're going to be discussing today our five favorite albums from 1991. It's hard to believe that was 35 years ago,
Time flies.
and I was 25. So it's just kind of weird, you know, numbers like that. You think, well, what's going on here? But I'm going to let you start off.
Oh, absolutely. No problem. So, basically, music of 1991. I will begin with some Canadian content.
There you go.
Rush, Roll the Bones. Uh, it's another Rush album that was partially recorded at the much missed Le Studio in Morin Heights, Quebec. The album has amazing songwriting. It's more of a guitar-driven album as opposed to the synth-heavy albums of the 1980s. It was co-produced by Rupert Hine, who worked on the previous album Presto. Um, the album begins with Dreamline. It's a catchy, energetic song written in the style of the material on Hold Your Fire and Presto. It was kind of a theme at that in that era. Uh, then you've got Bravado and title track Roll Bones. They're very popular live tracks on the various live albums and boots. It's just popular stuff. And then you've got Big Wheel and Heresy. They're really great Rush tracks with catchy melodies and elaborate arrangements. Then you've got Ghost of a Chance, which was one of the most popular singles on this album, with beautiful melodies. You truly are in a state of grace. No, 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 no. Where's My Thing is a neurotic, peppy instrumental track, just a whole lot of fun. It was even nominated for a Grammy Award for Best Instrumental Track. They didn't win, but yeah, it was nominated. The album Roll the Bone uh, reached number three on the US Billboard 200, which is not bad at all. Truly, most of the tracks on this album are familiar to the average Rush fan. It's a great listen from beginning to end. And, well, artwork by longtime Rush contributor Hugh Syme. It's a lovely album overall. So I give it 3.5 stars out of 5. Back to
Um,
you.
well, my first one is it has some a relation to Rush, only uh, Fates Warning parallels. It was produced by Terry Brown,
Ah, yes.
and this was the first. Uh, this one and the album that came after were the more commercial, mainstream sounding. Um, they just kind of stripped away a lot of the more complex things. It still was progressive metal, but it was just a little more easier to listen to for the average listener. Um, I've always been a big fan of Fates Warning since the '80s, and when they changed over to the singer that's on here, Ray Alder, two albums before, it was just a night and day between him and the previous singer, John Arch. John Arch, his style of singing is kind of close to like Bruce Dickinson, and Ray Alder, he kind of goes along with like Jeff Tate and James LaBrie. They had those hit the high notes a lot. A lot of great songs on here. And what's cool is this edition has like a live disc on it, and I believe it's a 3 disc thing. And
Special edition.
yeah, nice little special edition. For longtime fans, I mean, when I first heard it, at first I was a little let down because it was a little more polished than the previous one. And but then after listening more and more, it grew on me, and it's like just about every Fates Warning album has stuck to me, and I always like talking about them. I always like to tell people because right now the big name in prog metal is what you're wearing on your shirt. Everybody, when you say prog metal, they think, oh, okay, Dream Theater. That's the first name. And Fates Warning has been around a little longer, but they didn't hit that popularity that Dream Theater. And I like to tell people, it's like, if you like Dream Theater, you're gonna love this too. You're gonna love it. So that's my first one.
Excellent. Wonderful. Okay. All right. Let's look at another album. My next album that I want to discuss about is from an American band, Echoland,
Oh
their first self-titled album. Uh, from this brilliant American rock band called Echoland, who literally defined their very own style of prog rock.
yeah,
There aren't very many bands that sound like Echoland. They're really, really out there. This album featured great composition and fantastic musicianship from all the players: Brett Cull, Ray Weston, Chris Busby, Paul Ramsey, and the newly added Tom Hyatt. This was truly the golden lineup of the band. Uh, Echoland is renowned for their great vocal harmonies, ethereal melodies, and powerful guitar riffs. This album has all of that and more. Uh, Carpe Diem is an energetic, fun track. Definitely my favorite from this album. Uh, Shades is their epic. It's varied, brilliantly written. And then there's Clumps of Dirt. It's a great instrumental where Chris Busby is just on fire on the Hammond. The beauty of this album is it stands as a whole, flowing from one track to the other. It's a great listen overall. This thing, I seriously give it 4 stars out of 5.
the one thing I liked about Echo is when I first heard them, they played over at Prog Fest. I think it was '94, either '94 or '95. And this is a story I love telling. Down a couple seats down from me, at we were watching when they started, and they were loud. And the guy was like, "This is too loud." And I'm thinking, I said, "You do know that this is a progressive rock festival. Rock tends to be loud." And it's funny is the guy was 60 and I'm 60 now. So 30 30 something years ago. And it's like he's complaining about that noise. And it's like, um, the other thing that I like is of they were a modern progressive rock band. They weren't they had there were their influences on them, but they brought it through a modern take on things. Um, and at sometimes I mean I can listen to it with some of the like some of the grunge acts of the day. I mean because it flowed right with them because it felt like it, but then they kind of transcended that.
True,
So
true.
I mean, so and that's great. That's a great debut.
Yeah. Imagine if Echoland had been fully supported by Sony Records when they
Oh,
were on the label. It would be gigantic. But
oh
yeah,
yeah.
oh
But
well.
all right. My my second one is Queen Innuendo. This
Okay.
is the 14th and final studio album that they worked on while Freddie was alive. They had one afterwards, which was posthumous. They had his vocal tracks that they added stuff to it later.
Hmm.
This was their 14th album and starts off with the title track that is just like it's like classic Queen, but with had a little bit of a cashmere type of a feel to it. And then right in the middle, there was like this acoustic guitar interlude done by Steve Howe.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
um, it has a lot of great songs on here. I, I, I love how it was in many ways it was a return to form, um, but in some ways it continued on what it was doing in the '80s. It was a couple rock tracks. Hitman. I mean, just it was a typical, heavy hitter, and they had uh, these are the times of our lives, and slightly mad, and it's like it was. You can hear now after Freddie's passed years later, you can hear that he was kind of setting hints as to his various levels of how he was feeling. Um,
But his voice was still brilliant and wonderful.
oh yeah, I mean his voice was as good as it has ever been, and a lot of great songs on this. A lot of people, I mean, I've talked to some Queen fans, and they didn't even realize it. Some of them don't realize themselves. They kind of stopped at the '80s and then just kind of stuck there. And it's like, yeah, this is the last great album.
Hmm.
This I think is more on par with their '70s stuff and the beginning of the '80s, like the game, and the Flash Gordon soundtrack. I mean, it's in par with that. Um, but if you're a Queen fan, look that up, and
Absolutely.
you'll be happy once you hear it.
Cool. All right. My next album, we're delving into heavy metal. I'm going to be talking about Ozzy Osbourne's No More Tears. Um, it happens that it has been a year almost to the day since we lost the Prince of Darkness.
Yeah,
This was his sixth album, and it's always been a favorite of mine. And I own pretty much every album of his discography. So it's one of his most popular albums. quadruple platinum in the US, and double platinum in Canada. Uh, on this album, Zach Wild on guitars is truly at the absolute top of his craft. Uh, and he actually wrote quite a bit of the music too. Uh, I was surprised to learn that Lemmy from Motorhead contributed the lyrics for four songs on this album. No More Tears features two of the most popular hits since Crazy Train, namely the title track, No More Tears, and Mama, I'm Coming Home.
Yeah,
Uh, there's also the song I Don't Want to Change the World, which was also a popular single in the US. Uh, great album. Very easy to listen and very fluid. Ozzy was a force of nature. We'll never see a musician much like him anytime soon. So this album, I give it 3.5 stars out of 5.
oh, good. I remember when that came out. Yeah, I hadn't heard that in years. I'm gonna actually say I haven't heard it since it was released. And of course, you hear the popular songs off that album
Mhm.
all the time, whether it's people hear it in someone's car going by, or they put it on the radio, or soundtracks. They always do something. But, now I saved these last three because they to keep them to kind of together because back in the early 90s, I was into heavy metal and grunge music. So I'm going to start off with Nirvana's second album, Nevermind. Very popular. Um, and it was nice that I gave it a long break in between listening to it, like 25 years. And when I freshly listened to it this year, I was like going, I'm glad I did it that way because then I could hear it with fresh ears. I mean, obviously, Smells Like Teen Spirit, you hear that everywhere. I mean, I mean, at the time when it was getting popular, I kind of got tired of it because I was hearing it everywhere. And then it's like, there's other songs on the album to listen to.
Well, overexposure. Yes.
Yeah. And it's it's quite a difference than their first album, which was called Bleach. Bleach was a little more raw sounding. So, and I remembered a lot of people really preferred Bleach because of the raw sound, and they said this one was a little too polished. But I mean, it's the two different worlds to listen to. I mean, you know, in a perfect world, you listen to them both, and you appreciate them both for what they are. This was their breakthrough. Uh, every, just about everybody knows it. When you say Nirvana, they go to this album, and this was their 30th anniversary. So um, great great album. You know, if you like the grunge stuff, even if you don't, it's good raw rock metal.
Yeah, and it was the watershed moment for the style known as grunge. It was
Yeah,
just the album that just put it
it
on
was
the
it
map.
was the it was the one that hit mainstream because I did some research. Grunge was actually around since the style was around since about 85, but it was way underground. No one, I mean, unless you were in that air in the Seattle area, you didn't know about it,
Mhm.
or unless you were one of these types that were looking for underground music, you wouldn't have known about it. It took that album to kind of shed light onto that whole scene.
Cool. All right. Um, my next album, I'm going to delve into the world of neo prog. Uh, with this wonderful album, uh, Pendragon, the World. Oops, it was upside down. Sorry about that. Yeah. Well, basically, this is among the best work released by the band. Uh, Pendragon is the poster child for this musical style known as neo-prog. And that album was one of its best representation. Uh, on the world, Clive Nolan on keyboard really, really, really shines as much as Nick Barrett on guitars. Uh, the vocals you have to get a little bit used to, but otherwise than that, the composition are sophisticated and adventurous. Uh, on this album, the song that begins the album, Back in the Spotlight, is really great start to the album. Then you've got The Voyager. It's a wonderful ballad, often part of their live shows. Uh, then there's the song Shane. It has a very lovely ethereal guitar riff in it. And then Queen of Hearts. That's the big, bombastic, epic, clocking at nearly 22 minutes. Uh, it has a bit of a Marillion vibe to it at times. It's divided in three parts. It's one of my favorites and a staple of their live shows. Uh, my version of this album, it's kind of a special edition, has Sister Bluebird on it as a bonus track. Oddly, it's a track that was originally released on their next album from 1993, Window of Life.
Um,
Yeah, but yeah, overall, this great, wonderful album, I give it a solid 4 stars out of 5. That's really something that I listen very often. It's regularly on my main playlist.
I had a I had a friend of mine now 30 years ago, July. He was in Indianapolis, Indiana, and he he was trying to do a Pendragon convention, and he sent out invitations. He put in word in different publications that at the time, and I have somewhere I have a poster of the album they put up after the Masquerade. Is that the Masquerade Overture? I had a big poster of that. One of these days, gotta get these posters out and put them on. But it was really fun. But there was only three of us plus him that showed up, and I was the one at the time came the furthest from California. Everyone else was, I think, in the Midwest coming, and it was such a shame because he had the band sent over posters and other little things to give away, and he said he had so many stuff left over afterwards that he asked permission from the band, can I sell them, or you know, and they said, yeah, okay, you had it was a good effort, but America's a North actually I say North America is a very vast place to do something like that. And I think, if I remember correctly, it wasn't. I think it was on short notice, like within the year of 1996. So he didn't really. I mean, if you talked about it the year before, and maybe I don't know if the band promoted it or not. I don't know what all the logistics were, but it was a shame because it was kind of a fun thing. I mean, 2 days, what flew in there on a Friday night. It's Saturday and then Sunday, and then I flew out Sunday night, and it was just kind of fun.
There you go.
But
We often go to prog music events where there are very, very, very few people,
yeah,
but they're very, very enthusiastic about the music. There
oh
we
yeah, oh yeah.
are.
All right, next on the thing is the band Pearl Jam and their debut 10. This is another watershed mark for.
It's a monster album. It's
Oh
just
yeah,
wow. It's a wow album, literally.
yeah. I mean, it's grunge, but it's also it has more of a classic rock sound. I mean, if some of the sound, the heaviness was just slightly different, you could have sworn this was released in the 70s, like mid 70s or something like that. Everything on here, I mean, there's no duds. I mean, everything. I mean, you got Jeremy, the one that plays a lot. Oh my gosh, there's just so many of it, and I like that this was like their little anniversary edition, and nice little booklet thing. And um, this one, it originally took me a little bit of time to kind of get into it because I was more into like heavy metal at the time. So this was, but now that I'm listening to it like 35 years later, it's like this one is timeless. I mean, you can listen to it and it doesn't matter what year it was released. It sounds fresh because they didn't do any cliches of the times to like the previous decade where they had hair metal. When you hear a hair metal band, oh, that's 80s. That's maybe 86 or 87. You can kind of take a guess on the actual year, but you can guess on those things. But with this, you go when. I mean, you have to like really look it up and find out. Oh, it was released then. It sounds it was different. So this is another one that I recommend to people. Along with that previous one, Nirvana. I mean, that one also has a timeless feel to it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, here's my last album. Uh, Marillion, Holidays in Eden. Uh, that's the album that really established Steve Hogarth as the definitive lead of the band. It was more pop than prog, thanks to producer Chris Neal, who worked with Celine Dion, Cher, Paul Young, and Rod Stewart, among others. It's quite upbeat and happy. There's no darkness or gloom on this album. Uh, it begins with Cover My Eyes. It's probably the best known song from the album and also the catchiest, most radio friendly. Uh, no One Can is also a very lovely ballad, perfect for radio play. The title track, Holidays in Eden, it's a real toe tapper, very energetic and lively. Then you've got Dry Land, which was a track that Hogarth wrote in 1987 before he was in Marillion and reworked for the album. Uh, the song, The Party, has a really, really nice melody and great guitar work. Overall, it's a great album and a perfect match for the music that was popular in 1991. Uh, this album, I give it 3.5 stars out of 5. So basically, Ron, those are my 5 albums.
And I think that was one of the. I think that they were trying to kind of break into more into the mainstream of that album.
Totally.
When they
Absolutely.
saw it, when they saw it, I mean, it was popular amongst the fans, but when they saw that it didn't do that, then the next album they went a different route.
Yeah, true. That's true. Indeed.
But yeah, that I was actually listening to that. Honestly, if I didn't get anybody to come in with me, if I was going to do a solo, I would have done that. Would have been my one of my. But my final one is Soundgarden, Bad Motivator.
Ah,
Now, this is a monster. This one, um, it kind of had the best of like the classic rock. It had metal. It had a little bit of a punk edge here and there. Listening to it years ago, I always thought, okay, Chris Cornell kind of sounds a little bit like Robert Plant. When I listen to it now, he doesn't. He's in the same vocal range area, but his sounds nothing like him. So anyone that still thinks that, listen to it again. This it starts off with Rusty Cage, which is a nice, good way to begin. Jesus Christ Pose. I was actually watching a video. Someone was talking about Soundgarden. Um, the drummer, he wasn't a rock drummer. He was a jazz drummer, and he was into progressive rock. So on Jesus Christ Pose, you can hear that little some weird time signatures that he does with the drums, um, and even the guitars and bass doing. I mean, things that what how a lot of the bass players in the '70s they went real down low on the bass. I mean, he's doing all. I mean, there's a. I want to actually say this. There is a lot of progressive moments in Soundgarden. They're not a progressive rock band, but they touch on a lot of different little things, but they're mostly as forward driving sounds. They have a little bit of in some of their gloomier songs, a little touch of Black Sabbath in there. So they just have a little bit of everything, but it's undeniably when you hear it, that sound right.
lovely band. I absolutely adore them. I think I have three or four of their good album, including that one. Uh, Good stuff, indeed.
Yeah, I mean, they're great. They're a great band, and it's so sad that Chris Chris Cornell is no longer with us.
Mhm. Indeed.
He was a great singer, and I think they had a lot more years to offer us. You know,
Absolutely.
I mean, he had a fantastic voice. I mean, he was an audio slave, so slightly different sound. Then he did a very commercial solo album.
Which
So
I have.
I mean, which is a beautiful album. It's like when I first heard it, I was remember 25-year-old. You're hearing Soundgarden. So and then when the lead singer does something almost polar opposite of Soundgarden, you kind of a little disappointed. But then when you then fast forward to the 60-year-old, he's like, oh, that was great. That was great. So sometimes you gotta let the album age. You can't just judge it right on the spot.
True.
But well, we got 10 albums for people out there. If you hadn't heard any one of these, I'd say I'll speak for the both of us, seek them out.
Absolutely.
Preferably buy them like we do, like you know, physical media, because that helps support some of these bands,
100%. Absolutely.
uh,
Yes.
especially bands like Echoin, Pendragon, uh, Fates Warning. Those bands they need that. need the money. I'm not saying the others don't, but they've made, mega millions on the
Yeah,
stuff.
true. And the independent artists really live off of physical media sales and live shows.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Well,
anytime we can support them, it's
yeah,
very important.
yeah, any band that you if you they come to your town, you know, and you're able to see them, go see them. If you don't buy physical media, buy digital, and then like
Just,
Robert wearing merch.
just don't do Spotify. Not no good. Mm-mm.
No, no, don't do that. I mean, try to find a good friend that you can trust with their opinion, with their recommendations. Um, but try to stay away from streaming because they don't fans don't care for money,
Mhm.
especially the independents. I mean, the big bands, like three of the big last ones that I talked about, they're making money off of it. So they it doesn't matter to them. But the other two that you know, well, actually, four out of my five are making mega millions on those different streaming. One, Face Warning isn't. They're um, and a lot of the ones that Robert was talking about don't make a lot of money off of those things.
True, true.
Bandcamp is a great one because they let you sample it, I think, twice before they say, it's like, hey, it's time to ante up, buy it up, you know. So, I want to thank you, Robert. I mean, this
It
is,
was a pleasure, my friend, as always. I love discussing about music with you. It's always quite a pleasure. So
yeah.
thank you so much
And
for inviting me.
next month on the 15th, we're gonna jump up 5 years, 96.
Mhm.
We'll see what we can come up with for everybody.
Exactly. That's very cool.
All right. Well, thanks again, Robert,
It's been a pleasure, my friend.
and I'll talk with you soon.
All right. Have a great day.
You
Bye-bye.